my mama lied. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed.
Yeah, it's running. Okay. We ready? Welcome back, Jackson, Mississippi, and these United States to Make It Make Sense, Jackson. I'm your esteemed and honored host, Tariq Abdul-Tawwab, alongside soon to come are my co-host, aka technology specialist, aka live producer, Keanu Perry, aka Young Mr. Jackson. Shout out Mr. Wilson, our producer, who's traveling, trying to get more information to help us move things forward. But welcome back. It is July the 8th, 2026. And Jackson, Mississippi is at a crossroads. We welcome new listeners, new followers. Shout out to our core followers and listeners that have been there since the beginning. We are approaching a year and a half on air, bringing you Make It Make Sense Jackson, which has been an honor. As with any job, you know, there's gray hairs and there's things that make you smile, and we've gotten our good share of both. But the biggest thing we've done through this trail together as a community and as a show is to walk to a place where we start to understand better the things that are happening in our city. And I think that's the biggest accomplishment that we have. We have to continue every day to open by congratulating ourselves on pushing against the status quo here in Jackson, Mississippi, that said if you have connections and you're connected, and that's how progress is made, to say we're going to figure out where the connections are leading to, and then we're going to win back that power and take it back for our city, both at the voting, you know, the pulpit, at the man stand, no matter whether it's religious, political. We're going to take back what's ours, and that's the truth and the right to understand what's happening with us. This show theme all week, as you know, shout out Carter G. Woodson, has been Miseducation of the Negro. And the actual exact title has been an answer to why we are so hard on our politicians, or on Mayor Horn specifically, the leader of the city. We felt that and why we would be hard on a black man that's trying to make it. And I think this is the second day of us showing you that the reason we're hard on Mayor Horn is because he's hard on the black constituents of Jackson, Mississippi, and he makes it extremely hard for a lot of the folks in West and South, North and Northeast Jackson to make it comfortably and to make any progress, especially in front of things and obstacles that are not were not placed there by themselves. And we've gone through a lot as we worked up here. That won't dominate it there, and I think we're live on our feed. Young man got it perfect. But that has been a beautiful walk, right? That we've gone through. And that walk has allowed us to get to a place where we can see things, and then we started to move to do things. We did move to push our data center opposition to where it needed to be. And I think we'll wait as we launch into it, as the young man sits down and starts to go into it with me. I think we'll wait and we'll touch a little bit more on why we hold our politicians so accountable here in Jackson, Mississippi, especially because we're welcoming in folks from new parts of the state every day. So we're welcoming some folks from Maryland and some other places today. So I'm going to let the young man shout you out and get us started properly while I close this door, and then we're going to get going. Put you right on the spot so you come and get that energy going. Give him that you're welcome.
Shout out to everybody that he mentioned. You said Maryland. Who else you said?
Yeah, Maryland, and we got that. Another shout out to right up the street, the 3 hours away,
Tennessee.
Yes.
Tennessee. Yeah, shout out to Maryland, Tennessee.
Yeah.
I missed the part while we were shouting out. We kind of caught me on guard with that, but shout out to y'all, man. I'm pretty sure if he mentioned y'all, it's some y'all great y'all did or something going on. But yeah. As I come into the show, young man, got a lot to talk about today. I'm sure it's already discussed it.
We didn't get too far ahead. You know, whenever I have to set up anything technological myself, you got a little bit of time to get here, which is always a plus. Yeah. You see who the youth leads us when it comes to technology on this show. But no, I just touched on it with folks, brought folks in, allowed folks to understand the theme. of the show. Shout out Carter G. Woodson. We talked miseducation of the Negro and how information is the key to the show and what we're trying to provide to people, right? One thing we've always said is we're not trying to tell you how to vote. We're just trying to make sure you understand the proper information to move forward. We're not trying to tell you how to think. We just want to make sure you have the proper information. And I think that the title of this week's show has been every day, us answering the legitimate question that's posed. Well, why are you so hard on your late leadership here, Mayor Horn's administration? And why are you hard, or why are things hard for a black man trying to make it in Jackson? That's an excellent question. And we try to move outside of emotions and answer that question no matter how it's asked to us, right? Mm-hmm. And so all week we've talked about why we're holding Mayor Horn accountable based off of the policies and decisions he's made since 1996, right? We've been very clear on that. There's even a documentary on our page called Two Cities, One Jackson, where it talks about downtown Jackson partners and Mayor Horn signing certain legislation that started this whole trail off. So the one thing people cannot claim is ignorance, and that's a beautiful thing. If you're a part of our page or if you're listening, you just have to scroll down and you see that when we present something, we don't present it with the feelings of the young man and I. We present it with Northside Sun, with different documentaries that shows you this is indeed what happened. Now, you can feel about what you may at this point, but Mayor Horn did indeed push the legislation that allowed downtown Jackson partners, Fondren, Belhaven, to create a corridor within the city. And it's legal. It just had to be signed on by a black Democrat before the federal government would allow it to come into play in 1996. So we've tried each day to answer that question quite accurately. And again, the answer is going to remain that any of our politicians that make it this hard on African Americans in our city to survive and to move forward, then we certainly are going to outline everything that they do on a regular basis and hope that they change. And that should be the bigger question that we hope starts to come from this. Because I think as we outline more and more why we're unhappy with the Democratic behavior of our mayor that's supposed to be a Democrat that has plantation Democrat tendencies, and at this point just plain far-right Republican associations here in Mississippi. And I'm talking Mayor Horn and the business deals and policies he enters on behalf of the city. I don't care if you're sad about them afterwards and you thought they were your friends once they're done. If you keep doing them, we've got to live with it. And so then we express ourselves constitutionally by saying, I don't like these things that the mayor's doing. I think he should make better decisions on behalf of the 80% of the city, since we are the ones that seem to be forgotten in every decision. Because the other 20% of the city is not forgotten consistently. Even with legislative money, when the Mississippi legislative closed, 80% of the city was once again forgotten. So I think that folks have to understand that, A, when you ask that question, it's fine. Why are you so hard on Mayor Horn? Because he's making it very hard for the majority of Jackson to move forward. Now he's getting involved because a child has been murdered. Now he's getting involved because the mother was murdered. Now he's getting involved because the violence has hit a place where he can't ignore it. That's all you can think if you've been here. Because this is not, let me just leave it there. If you're here and you're watching or you're living through it, the only thing you can think is he can't ignore this because of the news. And if you think that's a facetious statement, it's not. Because the type of violence and pain that folks have been going through in this city, for Mayor Horn not to pop out for a year and a half. And I'm glad that he's finally reaching out to violence interrupters. The same violence interrupters that were part of the city's collaboration before he came into office. They were part of the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma. What was it? The Office of, I always mess it up. Trauma, Office of Safety and Violence Prevention. You all know what I'm talking about. And then he got switched over, Mayor Horn switched to neighborhood with a neighborhood child. I'll pull it up, of course. But these people were there now. In wake of the recent violence, there was so if no one knows what I'm talking about, in wake of the recent violence, Mayor Horn and Chief Brackney pulled together a violence convention, so to speak, a one-day, I wouldn't necessarily call it a convention, but it was a meeting where they all got together, and I put it in our text, but where they all got together to discuss the public safety concerns. This was Monday, I believe. I said yesterday, and I'm wrong there. This was Monday. The Jackson Mayor Law Enforcement meet with community to discuss public safety concerns. This was July the 7th. So, no, that was yesterday. And so, I reach out. So first off, when folks say we invite community organizations, I'll reach out. But thankfully, yesterday we had folks in the room because we knew that it was a meeting that was going to happen. So, we were able to see what was happening. And, these steps that are being taken a year and a half in, first off, they're flattering because these are things that we've been pushing for. Let's just start there. We brought on Teron Moore from Strong Arms of Mississippi. We had him, actually, I think we had him on here twice. if I'm correct. And we just push this and that's why a lot of people don't come at us with that, oh, you all are talking about the problems, we're the solution. If you're diehard listeners, you know that the solution is what we start with. The problems are what people throw in front of us to stop us from helping get to that solution as a community, right? So, talking with Teron, talking about what Strong Arms was, his background, and then more importantly, talking about the students that they graduated and what these students had been faced with before coming into the program. And again, I'm not going to sit up there at this point. Once we bring them on, you need to, if you worry about violence in Mississippi, if you worry about violence in Jackson, if you want to support people that are on the front lines, not to talk about it a year and a half in, but that are on the front lines every day, then look at these organizations. Strong Arms of Jackson, Strong Arms of Mississippi, excuse me. Look at Operation Good. Look at Living with Purpose. But we had Strong Arms on here twice, and we talked about Operation Good in the period of time, right, that they stopped the violence that we're claiming we want to stop. And now we see that Mayor Horn and his administration reached out to Strong Arms of Jackson and invited them, reached out to Operation Good and invited them, which is nothing a pat on them. That's what should have been done this whole time. So we like seeing that. Let's be very clear. We've been screaming a year and a half. So if you hear any frustration when we finally see it, it's like, yay, but this is crazy that it should take a 1-year-old baby dying for this step to be taken. Now it's here. Let's push it. Let's watch. And there is no trust here anymore. That's our mess. There is zero trust here. We have to watch to make sure that when you go there, what we heard when we were there was great information from the violence interrupters. It was great information. Our contact, it was great information from the violence interrupters. But it was information going one way. And so we understand that Chief Brackney was looking for answers, right? And they have answers. And if no one knew they had answers, we told them. They stopped violence for this amount of time. Look at the graduations. Look at these children's testimony that they're putting back online about Strong Arms of Mississippi and what they were doing before and what they're doing now. So now you call on them and now we hear, well, tell us how you're stopping this violence. Tell us how you're doing it. And we heard our contacts telling us, well, Strong Arms, Operation Good, the community was telling them what they did to interact with these children. But it's too late in the game for you to be taking notes from someone else. It's time to collaborate with them. What we're looking for is to see what the next step is. Is there going to be a collaboration where resources from the city, from the aspect of public safety, are being poured into those violence interrupters that showed up at that meeting? So they can hire more and more and more. Yeah, I was a job developer right here in Jackson, Mississippi. There are plenty of African-American males in these neighborhoods that are well trusted by the young people in that neighborhood that will listen to them, that are between the ages of 25 and 40. The city would have no problem right now, in this moment, turning around and doing the right thing. We leave the door open at all times, Mayor Horn. Don't just call these young men and steal their ideas and then call it Jackson Rising. You did that with Chief Owens and the fire truck. You've done that too much. And we don't care nothing about how you feel about us saying it. We're going to watch you for it. We're going to applaud any type of effort to bring in people that can stop violence. But you will not use them as a speaking token and as a point to show the city you're doing something. I guarantee you that. So what we're looking for is a collaboration. You called them forward. Mayor Horn took meticulous notes through this entire meeting, made sure he wrote down everything. Do not let that come out in a Jackson Rising violence prevention platform. That better not happen. And it probably has nothing I can do, but that if you don't collaborate with these men from the area that have already proven they can stop violence, have already proven they're respected by the young people, you have lost your mind. And if we allow that, then the question doesn't move to why are you so hard on John Horn? If you're okay with that, the question moves to are you a part of it?
This was going on before he even became American. I remember somebody saying that he had a radio show on here.
Absolutely.
He had a lot of those.
He had Strong Arms of Mississippi on there, and it's a year and a half in, and he's now invited them to a meeting to talk about violence.
Now all of a sudden you've been with them, bro.
Yeah, now they're useful because the nation has noticed that a 1-year-old has died.
And I'm saying, Class Attack, the same thing he did with Chief Willie O.
Absolutely.
He gave him the scoop on who he should have as the new fire chief. You ain't listening to him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what at that point, what was going to your mind to make you feel like, oh, I should listen to him? He's been in the game 40, 30 years.
There is no, because they're fickle and uneducated.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, that's the answer. You said it and you meant it, and I would rather you stood on that, because now we're getting to see what when you believe a community is fickle and uneducated, we're getting to see what that looks like, right? There go Chris again. Chris Williams. So everything that I'm talking about, look at our Facebook page. You can't. Remember when I said one of the 3 folks that just rotate in and I leave it open. I don't block. I don't stop. So we're talking about Operation Good, Strong Arms of Mississippi. There have been proven 90 days, more than that, of no shooting, no murders, no violence. You got a fella that hops on here, Chris, that says, well, you keep saying he's been in office for a year and a half, which isn't true. It's only, that's what you got out of all of that. Was the math is wrong.
Who said he been
You keep saying he's been in office for a year and a half, which isn't true, but only a year since July 2025.
Look,
What's the other 6
more than
He's right, by the way. He's right. My math is horrible. Those are our core listeners. If you've been with us since day one, you're absolutely right. But that's for that. But your colors show so clearly. We're talking about babies dying. He's like, well, 18 minus 6 doesn't equal 12. It equals 12. Got him. That's the same one that said, oh, you didn't like Horn. You like Lamont instead of Horn, huh? Duh. Hello? What do you think we've been talking about for a year and a half? That Horn shouldn't have come in because this is what we're going to do. Y'all are used to them jellyback Negroes. That's why y'all jump on here with your, and then you don't like it. I don't like, man. Come on. We love it. Don't you understand? We stay live. We're not hiding nothing in the shadows. When you got something to say, step up and say it, sir. As a matter of fact, you 601-948-5950. Why don't you tell us the initiatives that Mayor Horn has done while we speak about why we're holding him so accountable? So now let's continue to go through those steps after we've ruffled a few feathers now. So you saw the previous administration, since we want to talk about it, had the Office of The Office of Violence Prevention, right? So Mayor Horn came in and changed it to the Office of Neighborhood Associations or something like this, Neighborhood Stand Up, right? That's fine. But then we saw no engagement with any of these organizations. See, what you can't do is dress a monkey up like a dog and then expect us to believe it's a dog. You can't call a meeting and say all of the organizations are there, but there's no collaboration, and no funds, no resources being put into these organizations. So that's what we're watching for there. Before we move on, we're simply watching to see if this turns into a collaboration with these organizations that have been able to stop violence. And that's how you're able to expose people for what they are. Because if you really care about violence in Jackson, Mississippi, all you'd be talking about is how we stop it. Yeah. That's all you'd be talking about is how we stop it. You wouldn't be concerned about anything other than that. And so the responses that would come would be, well, we tried this, Mayor Horn tried that, it didn't work. And then I'd be able to say, well, I apologize. Maybe that's not where we should be looking. Maybe we should be looking somewhere else. But we brought on the violence interrupters onto our platform over and over again. We brought on anyone from the community that has interest in helping move us to a certain point. And what has happened? Not only until a baby has passed have we gotten to the point where they're starting to be engaged. And what we're saying is, we've got to watch, we've got to take some calls. We've got to watch that engagement and make sure it equals collaboration, not assimilation.
Welcome back. What's this called?
Hey, how y'all doing this evening? Good to hear y'all again on the radio. It's been a minute since I've been able to tune in. But I'm just thinking about the initiatives they're on.
Yes, sir.
That are positive for the city of Jackson.
Yes, sir.
I can't answer that question myself. However, I'm curious about all this money that they said that they had set aside for the parks in Jackson. I don't know if it went to one particular park or if that money is still on hold somewhere, because our parks are looking like garbage compared to some of the surrounding cities. So I'm just curious about that. Maybe y'all know something about the money that they had set aside to go towards these parks. Y'all have any updates on that?
I wonder if that got moved when Parks and Recreation got merged, because not only are there no updates, I've seen no discussion at all about there being any funds available since that discussion was surfacing. So that's a great question. I hope somebody listening can 601-948-5950. I would love to. Now we don't have a Parks and Recreation department that can answer that. That's how money just kind of sits there.
And then for anybody that's questioning why anybody would be so hard on any elected official, they would be because these people solicited our votes in a campaign under the auspice that they were going to do these certain things, but then when they get in office, it's the same as nothing, which is nothing. Nothing from nothing gets nothing.
That's right.
And we have the right to vote. People say if you don't vote, then you don't have a right to say that. Well, people did vote, and people are saying something. So why question the people that are saying something? And even if a person didn't vote, because I don't care who the person or what office it is, even the people that didn't vote, that elected officials still represent and serve those individuals.
That's right. Yes, sir. And these are textbooks.
Hey, hang up and continue to listen. Y'all have a good day.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you. Just to touch on that before we take another one, yeah, one more. Hang tight. The gentleman's absolutely correct, and let's just unpack that because it's very important that today we take a slow approach to it. Right? What the brother's saying to us is, wait, I'll take that.
Well, gonna make sense on there.
Turn your radio down just a little bit, caller.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you now. You got a good topic going, and that's a good point. But since you're on the subject of that, I want to mention to you and all your listeners that coming up on July the 13th.
Hold on. We done been here before, my brother. I love you. Well, I told you when you call in here, you got to talk about this topic first, man. We got so many people waiting on hold, man. I got a lot of people waiting on hold, brother. All right, hold on, brother. Stay with me. I'm dropping you to Sherry. Tell that brother to give you the information, Sherry, and I'll read it out. I have no problem reading any announcements, brother. I love you to death. We're going to take the next call, but give that information to Sherry, brother, and we'll read it out.
Well, make sense on there.
Well, I'm sorry to have people holding. We'll call back in, but brother, give that information to brother Sherry, and we'll read it out. Because we've got to give people a chance to jump on in and talk today. This is a big one, brother. But we always are willing to do that, and we'll post the information on there as long as it's something for our folks. But what we jump back in, this is to the brother's point, and I want to touch on what he just said. These are elected officials we're talking about, right? We're not talking about, so when you see us being confronted and saying, well, why are you talking about Mae Horn? We're not talking about somebody's aunt. We're not talking about somebody's personal life, and that's what you have to understand about Make It Make Sense Jackson. We don't talk about your habits. We don't talk about your relationships. We don't talk about your romantic affairs. In a year and a half that we've been here, not Mae Horn's been in office. He's been in office for about a year. The gentleman was correct. In a year and a half since we've been on air, we've never done any of those things. Right? We do not do the Hollywood role. We don't do the salacious role. We just bring you evidence. And yes, people are in there, the panties in a bunch, underwear in a bunch over evidence. Why? When folks called in the 9.1 and said, why are you letting them talk like that? That talk like that was us talking about Dale Danks and the Blue Ribbon Committee and the fact that Ali Shamsuddin let white folks into an all-black convention and the fact that Henry Kursky was going to run, a great civil rights guy, was going to run as the one consolidated black candidate, and then Harvey Johnson ran along and split the vote and gave Kane Ditto the right to do as much as he did to get downtown Jackson partners locked in. So much so that Charles Tisdale sued Kane Ditto. Kane Ditto himself and the downtown Jackson partners, then called CCI, for stealing money from the city of Jackson and siphoning it. You ever watch like a squirrel get ready and gather all the nuts they can gather? This is what was happening between Dale Danks and Kane Ditto. They were squirrels gathering all the nuts they could because they knew it wasn't long before a black mayor would be in place. If you had 3 black city councilmen plus 1 and a black mayor, well, there goes your city. And that's what drove white flight, was an understanding that that's what was going to happen. And when it did happen, it was Harvey Johnson that stepped up and split that vote and didn't allow a chance for Henry Kursky to become the vote. We're just telling you that. And that's why black boule politicians have called in. Why do you let them say that? Well, sir, we still love you. I mean, I know you don't consider us your brothers and sisters, but we extend that love because we understand that enslavement hurt our people in 2 ways. And it made them feel that the master was safe, and it made them realize they had to find freedom. But both sides are offshoots of trauma. So my boule brothers and sisters are just as traumatized as a young man shooting across the street. There's no different except the boule holds a lot more power when he or she slips up with that traumatization and makes us all pay for it. That young man generally hits the crowd he's shooting at. That's interpersonal violence. But when you decide to pocket our future, 15 out of every 1,000 babies are dead, and that study's on the back of the Clarion Ledger. That's ugly. Because they died within a year. That's not just a quick movie death, poop, I'm dead. No. A baby that's malnourished that fights through that year and doesn't make it to a year, the mental effects on his mother, on the family, on the community. Do you know how incompetent I felt when my son was born at 19 weeks? And words like incompetent cervix start getting thrown at you and stress, and you're thinking, my God, what did we do wrong? This is a true story. He had surgery on his hernia, more surgery before 7 months than most adults will ever experience. Lost vision to his eye, had to have his cornea reattached, and graduated at the top of his class at Tougaloo as a history major. And you got clowns in the political science department from Tougaloo, Jackson State, Alcorn, and Valley. They ain't got the courage to stand up and say Jackson gentrification is happening and something ugly's going on. I watched that boy fight to archaic English-style instruments as they forced his eyes open and dropped drops in him. And that's nothing like these babies are going through in these streets. But now that one dies, you want to jump up and collaborate. Well, you better make this collaboration real. I'm not hating on a good plan. I'm saying we've seen what you've done before. Jackson Rising now represents, I'm going to take your idea and put it under mine. And the proof is in the pudding. That's not my saying. That's what you've done, Mr. Holmes. You've taken over everything that we've tried to make positive, and you've given it away to other entities that you made some promise to prior to coming in office that you've made sure they're okay. What do you think happens to the truth when you put a scarf on it? It's still the truth. What happens when you get in front of the truth? Why are you talking bad? It's still the truth. What happens when you send your goons to the truth? It's still the truth. You can shoot the truth, but it's still the truth. It's just dead truth now. My baby can't kiss me, but it's still the truth. You haven't shot that. You can't murder an idea. We're not spreading a physical revolution. We're spreading a revolution of thought. And that revolution is done. Now we just have to multiply it quickly enough to stop this data center coming in, because we got a leading bishop, a black bishop, walking in between a crowd of his citizens, his flock. Now, one of them said they want data centers, and he said, these people are fools. I'm pro data center. That's the Jackson we're sitting in now. The same bishop who had a chance to give his flock Costco's. Let their parents experience $11, $15 an hour back then. Let them experience the way a liberal company gave you benefits. Yeah, I'm an ex-manager. Hey, let me tell you what benefits do. When you got college benefits that pay for your child to go to school. When you got some of them cards, them before tax cards where you can go to Walgreens and slide in and buy Tylenol, slide in and buy Cane, slide in and buy something to take care of your heartburn, slide in and buy your baby some. You ain't got to have money for that. Good benefits take care of a lot. Now you don't have to go to that one doctor that you don't really trust anymore. Now that out-of-network looks a little different. You may not even trust racist doctors here. You can take yourself to another state, pay out-of-network. It changes the whole way you see life. Bishop Crudup understood that, just as David Blount understood that, just as Virgie Lindsay understood that. And just as that very small handful of residents in Jackson that said, we don't want Costco's here, understood it. And now where Costco's would have been, you've got a huge parking lot with craters in it that come from the city, and then you've got a makeshift sign on it. With 20 years of people working and building and giving their children love, and that's what we would have had then. You think that we're going to sit by while you push everyone through and say 20 years ago I took away the option of a Costco's, and guess what? Bring the data centers in. They're poor enough now that we don't have to worry about no resistance. Bring the data centers in. And you're so used to yesterday's price that you're still operating off a different currency, that you're bold enough to come in front of the people, suit flashing back. Man, I don't care what these jive turkeys say. I'm pro data center. I think that we should look at this investment and see if it works for the people with the proper regulations. That's what you jump on this show for. They want to guide you to ignorance. We guide you to the properness. That man didn't even come from an investment perspective, and he's a bishop. Make it make sense. That man didn't say with the proper regulations, this city needs this investment. He said, man, they're getting that moonlight in Madison, baby. I ain't trying to miss that. Go look at it if you think I'm making it into something it's not. That man couldn't even speak straight when he started talking about that money going into Madison. He said, because of schools, sir, we're not talking about schools. The money in Madison and Rankin, and then he got mad at the thought of Clinton getting money before him. Woo!
I don't understand.
You should have heard the way he said that. He said, even Clinton get money? Oh, no, sir. Not why Crudup here.
But the way the money is gonna come in,
had him hold tight. Yeah, we moving.
the way
Yes,
the money's
sir.
gonna come in, the data center is it's something called the flat fee.
Yes, sir. Talk about
And that's going straight to the city council. It's gonna go to JPS. It's a yearly amount they get. So if we had the tax, if we had the sales tax on it instead of the flat fees, the money would be instant. So every time they buy construction. Every time they buy everything to build a data center, the money immediately will hit the accounts. But since because of SB 2001, that's what caused the flat fee. So I don't understand what money they talking about, because the money going straight to the city council.
So let's the money, the flat fee goes directly to the city council that we've been begging to put a moratorium on data centers. We've been begging to say demand the ban, and they will do nothing. They remove, so the money goes directly to them. And so looking at what you're talking about, the flat fee that came around data centers, and people keep saying the city could get 5 million, 10 million, 12 million. That's not the same as a formal business just opening and paying regular taxes.
Yeah.
So you're saying that we're not even going to get the money or see the benefits that they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, y'all, I mean, that's why I was saying last time, like, they doing it for that money, but it's like, that ain't even a lot of money.
That's right.
That's pennies on the, what y'all call it, pennies on the dollar?
Yeah, that's the pennies on the dollar. Everybody heard the headline, millions are coming to Jackson, but nobody's looking at the contract.
Yeah.
Nobody's looking at what the details say, what we're getting for that.
So, man, so we down for a little bit of money?
Wow. So what taxes were waived to get to that payment? I'm just looking at every question, like who's negotiating that payment? Tina. So, I mean, the 7 members of our city council that forgot that there was to file an appeal to that 12% tax, they're the one negotiating this agreement?
Yeah.
This is good. So, and we don't know how long the agreement's locked in. We don't know if the money's restricted to certain uses. How is the city going to use this money they're getting from the data centers? I mean, they're pushing this through on us. Like, is there any, have they given us any guarantee about how they're going to use this money that the, wow. And then, and the city council even approved the final terms is Sexton, Robert Island approved those terms.
Yeah, they have to approve, and Hyatts County super, what is it, super board?
Hyatts County Board of Supervisors.
They got to approve too. So you, all those people on there have to approve it also.
So we have no idea whether environmental or infrastructure risks are greater than what we're getting because we don't know what we're getting.
Yep.
Then whatever we're getting is a flat fee that city council gets directly. And so they're negotiating something that they're going to get to use for their wards. And we've told them to remove, put the moratorium back on the table. This is,
Make it make sense.
make it make sense, Jackson.
Fucking make it make sense, Jackson. I mean, you on the air.
I came in on the tail end of it, buddy.
That's all right. You still get a minute. We got about 15 waiting, but you get the first one, brother.
Here you go.
All right.
Where in the hell is the money that they stole from the poor people? Didn't give it back. They put a girl in jail. Well, I heard somebody on a tape recorder on WLBT saying, I'm down with it. I'll be out of office in about a couple of weeks. And then, but I'm down with it. Y'all give me a couple of weeks.
Wow.
It was on tape.
Preach, bro.
What about that money that's missing that for the poor people, the needed women and children that they got away with? And I heard the federal government on TV condemning those 3 that just got convicted. What about them other white suckers?
And let me say this, I want you to keep going, brother. I actually heard that same interview say, and I think that this is when you got to charge news with fraud. They said this is the biggest amount of money stolen in the history of Mississippi. They actually said that in Jackson, in the history of Mississippi, 50,000. The white federal guy actually said that. I said, Jack, you should go to jail for that.
Still there, brother?
Give us one more thought. We got a few behind you we're going to take. Any more? Give us one more thought, brother.
I tell you what, what goes up,
What's coming? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
God said, ain't nothing new under the sun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it will come back around. I'm sorry. It'll come back around. Call back in and turn the volume down a little bit. Oh, let's see the next one.
What, make it make sense, Carly, you on the air?
Yeah, it's California, man, and the question that we're asking out here is any of the charge going to be passed on to the customers? Any of the, whatever it's costing them to put that data center out there, out here, that's what we're asking, and we haven't got an answer yet. So I'll take the answer off the air.
Well, we appreciate you from listening to California, my brother, and we'll take it off of there. But yeah, and I'm going to take one more call, but possibly, let me just say this before we take the call. It just depends on the power infrastructure, because we have a sheet that goes over everything. We studied this before talking to you, and how regulators handle the cost, which is something that the young man was just talking about when he talked about how things are delivered, the money is used. Remember you talking about the moment the contracts start? So to answer that question, the most broad way, we'll take some calls and we'll jump back into it, California, but possibly, because the electric grids that need to serve it really comes into whether or not you're gonna do we need to upgrade the electrical infrastructure now to carry do you get what I'm saying? We don't know the weight of this data center on the electric system, on your water system, on any of these. So in California, for example, in Jackson, sir, we already know that our water infrastructure can't take anything, because we have $700 million+ sitting there that we're supposed to be using to fix it. So our infrastructure is in bad shape. So the answer really lies in whether more has to be done to support what's about to happen when a data center comes.
Welcome to Rachel's Call. Live there.
Yes, I got cut off.
Oh, turn your radio down just a little bit, caller.
Okay, I got it. We supposed to just overlook our presidents and look at them at depression at the same time? I know they say turn the other cheek, but why should I let you oppress me and then turn the other cheek when we're supposed to be spiritually recognized through Christ, and Christ has no entity between color or creed? But yet it's still everything we look at is downplayed on us like we're the barrier or the burden, the decent burden on everything that's going on in the city. It's amazing how they want us to serve God, and they teaching us the religious right of God, but Christianity has nothing to do with what they're doing and practicing and putting on hoods and then just robbing us blind.
Yes, sir.
How do we take all this? We've taken it for years. We've been beaten, we've been slashed against, raped, robbed.
And I'll tell you why, my brother, because we just don't finish that sentence. And brother, you are so right in everything you just said. The hard part we have is getting to the last statement. Like if I go to a doctor's office and I say, man, this doctor looks like he's gonna hurt me. I don't think the anesthesiologist is licensed. It looks like they're gonna steal my money. The next sentence is, so they're not real doctors. So when you just say everything you said, the next sentence has to be, so they can't be men of God. The same way I said, this is me saying, I'm not putting this on you, brother, but the same way I'll say that a bishop, just like any man, just like a pastor, that walks into a room and says, like Bishop Kudov said, I'm pro data centers no matter the harm, because he didn't mention the harm they could bring to his flock. When that happens, then we just have to feel comfortable saying, well, that's not a godly move. But we're afraid to say that. If my man comes in and says, hey, we're going to be part of Mayor Horn's collaboration, even though we know he hasn't done right, it's up to me to say, that's not a move that I would support. But we got to say that last part and move them out the way, brother. What's wrong with you leading the sermon? All these good people we bump into every day, we got to stop pretending good people don't exist. We're just allowing good people to sit on top, my brother.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree. And you're staying on the show like you're doing, no matter who's threatening, no matter who's standing. I'm standing with you.
That's all I need, my brother. I'm Fanny Little Ham. I ain't need but two of us. Appreciate you, my brother.
We're gonna make sense call Leo there.
Yes, sir.
I'm a brother that's still 56 years now, born and raised on the north side of Grayson. I mean, all the brothers to figure out how to get the young brothers that's shooting and killing one another, David and Jackson, and with all this foolishness, to see the video of 4th of July march in Washington, D.C., of the white supremacists hooded up, getting on buses, marching with their flags, the United States flag, the Trump flag.
I saw it. Yeah.
We have to get these brothers to see that and how they did in unity and how in the heck do you have the audacity to go pull up an AR on another brother after you see that. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, why has Mayor Horn administration given Judge Jim Hardwick a termination letter? Thank you. I stand by.
I appreciate you, brother. But let's address the first part first. I'm not sure about the commendation letter to Judge Hardwick. I just hadn't seen that story yet. The young man's looking it up currently. Let's look at the bigger part, which is the first thing you said. And I wish you had stayed on the line with me for a moment, because I think that we're all part of the problem in a sense, right? Because when you try to work to a solution, like if I'm in my household and I say we're over budget, we're all part of the problem somewhere. So that's the way I'm saying that, right? If me and KP are both spending, we're all part. All right, so what do you spend that you can't spend anymore, KP? Oh, man, Tar, I got my video game subscription. What about you, Tar? I got my coffee, right? We can cut it down. So we're all part of the problem. But right there, what you did, brother, unintentionally, was you punched down a little bit. You went in the right direction of accountability, but it's so easy to hit that uppercut under the groin. It's just easy because you know you can hit it every time. And when you're trying to help, like you were generally trying to do, then you take that easy punch sometimes. But you went to the brother pulling the AK out. You started out right, talking about the white supremacists marching in D.C. with the flags covering their face. These are police officers. Some of them could be politicians. You on the right path. But then you reach down into the children with the AKs. And they do have AKs. Nobody's saying they don't. But you reach down to the children, and that's the problem. We've got to be men. I know it hurts sometimes to stand up with that weight on your shoulder. Society, your kids are this, your kids are that. I know that gets hard, but just mess with some folks like us. We'll help you get some shoulder pads built in, you know? Stop punching on these babies. You started out the right way. Now, before you get to that AK, you got to ask yourself, We just talked about strong arms in Mississippi. We're a fluid, living show. We don't ignore the things we just talked about. We talk about Operation Good, strong arms in Mississippi. You talking about how do we get these young brothers to stop? And we're saying we got them to stop. We, the community, them. Why aren't your leaders supporting them? And instead of you reaching out to Horn into the city council and saying, you better collaborate with Strong Arms, you better collaborate with Operation Good, you better collaborate with Live with Purpose, you better collaborate with these groups. Instead, we're saying, why are the young people picking up AKs? Well, I mean, the young people are picking up AKs, and we're going to work through this, the same reason most people with gun license carry their guns when they come into Jackson. You don't want to get to the root of it because that's where the real soil lays. They carry the gun the same reason anyone else carries a gun. That's what you got to assume. Because if you're not, there's something wrong with you that's criminalizing your children before they've done anything. You've got to assume they're carrying it that same reason. Now we look around and we see zero opportunity. We see no opportunity. I heard somebody, Vernon Hartley said on his radio show today, if you see something, say something, guys. You got to do this. He said Jackson, he had these young people on his show. It was an amazing show with the young people. But he ain't telling young people he voted to remove the moratorium on the data ban. He ain't telling young 13-year-old entrepreneurs that, or their mommy and daddy. Hey, I'm Mr. Harley. I voted to remove the moratorium on the, it could hurt your children later. It could turn into a cancer. Well, other South Haven's telling us don't do it. Clinton saying watch out. But I did that. Now let's come find out how your children are going to sell whatever they can sell at the time they may or may not have left, since I, Vernon Hartley, have voted to table the moratorium. But then Vernon went on to say, and this is a complete detachment from the people. California, Maryland. This is here, the white supremacists are paying somebody to come in and do it. They're not doing it themselves because they know everyone's watching. The age of information. They can't take away TikTok and Facebook. So we can't do it. This has got to be the next step from the White Citizens Council. Remember, the White Citizens Council looked at the Klan and said, oh, that's classless what you're doing. Hanging people by trees. Instead, we'll starve them out of employment and make sure they can never work again and they can't buy their children any food. And anywhere they go, they can't vote. And life is just hell for them. That's the classy way to do it. And that's what the White Citizens Council said. We are the classy Klan. But now you had to take it a step further. We got to get back to that straw boss. Because now even a classy Klan got caught. What do I mean? They unredacted the White Citizens Council files. So now we know how you dance. And I'm talking to the black people. All of y'all that danced around with them and waltzed over the last 60 years, now your names are unredacted in there. So now they had to fall back and start putting the plantation Democrat in. That's why the new term arises, not to insult, because it's a step up. Now you need that plantation Democrat. I need a Dixiecrat that's black. Think that makes sense. I need a black Dixiecrat, and that's what they got in Mayor Horn. And it's his policies that make him a black Dixiecrat, not the color of his skin or the fact that I don't like the team he's on. Not at all. So when the gentleman said, at the end of everything, great, the white supremacists are marching, all this is happening. But when you looked at Strong Arms and you looked at Operation Good and you look at the Sykes Community Center, these are parents that are literally coming off of the street saying, my child is either partaking in violence, being hurt by violence, and these men are sitting with these young men every day. You don't hear nothing coming out about these young men doing wrong with them. For years they've been here, graduating after graduating. Even when their young men get caught up or something, they're right there. When they graduate, they're right there. But we're saying, why are these young men having AKs instead of why is this city not supporting the resources we already have in place? See, you try to ignore the blackmail, that mud baby. I know what you're doing. And you know what's happened sometimes? It feels good to be the only fish in the race. And we have some of our black brothers that so enjoy being the only fish in the race when they go to these big jobs at executive levels that they don't even really want to see their brothers climb up to the same level they're at. So they pretend that they don't notice the black men in the community that are actually doing something. They call in and they make comments that are just so far detached. And that's me being nice saying it's detached. Because if you're really around your people, you would know the answer is very simple. Well, hire some of these men that are out there that they can exist in the communities with the ones you're scared of, since you're so scared of them, and these other men aren't, right? Shout out Doodlesville. People that talk to young men and try to stop conflicts before it happens, right? Instead of going to them and saying, hey, Doodleville Dave, why don't we talk to you and talk to other men like you and see if you can't talk to the young men since there's no, instead you're saying, why do the young men have AKs instead of why are our leaders not engaging the black men sitting there, looking for jobs, looking to lead their community? You can put them on billboards, but you can't look to them for the help that they can provide. Instead, you let your elderly get slaughtered, bullets flying everywhere, but you'll stand there with every single police department in Mississippi behind you. But it isn't until none of that worked that you reached out and said, hey guys, God dang it, I guess Since it's not working, strong arms, can you tell us what you did, and we'll put that under Jackson Rising, and we'll try that next. We just call what it looks like.
I wonder why Peter Tawusa stepped down.
Wonder why anyone that understands the law wants nothing to do with it. It's not just us. Once someone called Peter, why you leave him? They just asked us why we so hard on him. Why you leave him? Shoot, ain't that worse than being hard? I can be tough on my wife, but I'm still there. I want to talk to the man that left. Hey, why you leave her? Let's go talk to Terry Woosten or Wade. Y'all heating me up. I'm just telling you what he's doing. And we all agree it's not good. And remember, California, this is when you do Jackson wrong.
Yeah.
Alabama, Maryland, this is when you do us wrong. This black man said the black voters of Jackson were fickle and uneducated. Don't forget that all of a sudden.
That's a prime example, because remember, Tawusa said on the radio, we ain't forgot about y'all West Jackson.
And they got out of there.
They got out of there.
Hey, but let me tell you something. Ric Flair, boy. Ric Flair, can you smell? Terry Woosten said, we ain't forget about y'all. I'm going, because what we going to do to y'all, you're not going to do with me there. I can tell you what it is. The handcuffs are off, just like Chief Wade. John Horn told him the handcuffs are off. Chief said, they're not coming back on neither. Peace. And you ain't going to put them on me. I'm not about, because Mayor Horn, this administration, whatever you do, like the brother said that came on the line, everything must come back to light. Bishop Crudup, all of this is going to come back to light. You on a run right now, hurting Jackson, Bishop Crudup. You've been on a run, not to mention that $250,000 in development money that was supposed to stimulate the community, and folks are mad about that not stimulating anything except personal interest. And you brag about sitting on downtown Jackson Park and having worked for the Development Authority as you worked against developing Jackson up. I mean, then this is the killer part. And I'm going to say this. This is us. You had the nerve to imply people don't love Jackson because they're not welcoming the sharks like Gabriel Prado, Robert Island and Sexum, and other people that have no connection to this community from bringing data centers in. Boy, I hope you pray to God about this. And I'm going to talk to you like a brother. I know you can tell me I'm not your brother too, but I'm going to talk to you like a brother till that happens. Stop what you're doing. Go to church and pray on what you just did in City Hall yesterday. Whatever, and you didn't even pretend to care about the people, Bishop Crudup. You went directly to that moolah. I mean, listen, Madison getting all that money, Richard Clinton getting all that. Clinton, y'all have to go. Clinton, he said it with a little. This money mine. And then you got the nerve to jump to the internet. And I'm gonna say it that way, the internet. And y'all letting these clowns from Stokes Ward sit up there and lift him up like he a hero through all of this. Stokes told you. Stokes has been missing in action since the data center conversation began, but has popped up to talk about snakes. Stokes laughed at a community member for being raped and the community member not being taken to the doctors. Stokes sits on community members' cars and tells the police on live camera to put that community member's car on the city council agenda. Not to mention the city called in here and said, you need to go look at all those houses that Stokes the landlord over. We can't talk about, the community called in, you just jumping on the show new. Y'all better stop letting these clowns make a clown relevant again.
You remember that time we had to clean up his neighborhood and one of the people pulled up and was like, they don't do nothing anyway.
And yeah, it was bad. I remember he came and said, listen, we talk short, we're gonna tell you what happened. So we were part of something. You remember them green signs you used to see called 30 and 30?
Yep.
We had a community health center. Shout out Deweyville Dave. Shout out Squeaky. Shout out our Cymbal. Shout out Julian. Shout out Dontavius. Shout out Gerard. Shout out
CJ.
CJ. I'm trying to think of the nickname. Shout out CJ. Shout out all of our people. Shout out Lexi. I'm about to say shout out KP. So we were doing 30 and 30. We were going through every area cleaning up 30 streets in 30 days. And when we went near the school. We went near the school in his ward. And he sent one of the people to look at us. I remember when one of the people came and just stared. You can understand that hate. And the young people were like, why are Kenny Stokes people sitting there staring at us like that because we cleaned it up? And then we understood. Don't nobody clean Kenny Stokes' ward. Kenny Stokes. And I don't clean my ward. I put up graffiti signs. And this is who you got people online on TikTok, because these folks coming from Dearborn and don't understand. Who is Stokes? Is he another? Yeah, Stokes is our guy. Man, we just screenshot. So when the numbers start to come out, because you can't steal from the people and hurt the people forever. You can't laugh at rape and things like that and think that that's going to be some guy going to bless and walk you in the way you need to walk into. And Bishop Crudup, you can't think that you can continue to do this to these people for 20 plus years and just do what you want for your pockets, no matter how it affects anyone else. Them days are over. You can hurt us, you can continue to do, not to him particularly, all those powers that be. But what you can't do is unknowledge people. And I know that's not a word. But once people understand that you just don't care about them when you make statements like this. And let me end this by saying, maybe 15 people had just walked forward. A pastor was forced to come back up after Bishop Crudup spoke to reinforce that this is not the way of God. Bishop Crudup provoked a pastor speaking up. A white pastor on top of that. I'm going to keep it a stack. I'm sorry. This is a black bishop walking us right into a problem. And he didn't mention one thing about regulations in place. We want to demand the ban. But this bishop didn't even say, well, let's wait until well, we still need the money, Jackson. It wasn't even the money with protection. He walked in there with that suit jacket, snapped it back and said, I don't know what these fools think, but I run this.
You said offering plate in his hand when he walked in there?
The what?
The offering plate. You ain't see that?
You drop a few dollars in there on the way up there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you deserve this, Bishop. And if the next cry, we walk out and somebody's right there, why are you talking about Bishop Crudup? We did our thing in advance this time. And you can look at our Facebook post. We put it right in there. Jackson said, demand the ban. Bishop Ronnie Crudup said, I'm pro data centers. Mississippi to Massachusetts to New York to Carolinas to Maryland to California. If you think you're fighting white supremacists and far-right Republicans that are trying to put data centers in your area, we're fighting a Democratic administration. They are plantation Democrats. They do have a Republican named Nick Lott running all the communications for the city who work with every major Republican in the state. But they're calling themselves Democrats, whether it's Gibbs, whether it's Crudup, whether it's Horn. They're traveling to your city. The younger one is an actual politician. And you're heralding them saying you all are fighting that white supremacy in Mississippi. No, they're not. They're embracing it. And we've got the receipts to prove it. This has been 2 cities, 1 state, one Jackson. And the question that we've answered this week has been the question posed to us when we walked outside this radio station. Why are you so hard on Mayor Horn? And instead of shrinking away from that question, instead of believing that because the power that was exuding that question was too strong, we stayed true to what we promised you from day one. We're going to show up, and until that upper room shows up, we're going to continue to say the truth and push it out in front of you. So those are some of the reasons this week has taught you why we are so hard on this administration, because they're so hard on the black people of Jackson, Mississippi. Why are we so hard on a black man like Horn trying to, quote, make it? Because this black man won't let any other black man make it. And what are we watching next? To see if this recent meeting yesterday that he held with Strong Arms of Mississippi showed up and Operation Good was invited, both of them invited, whether that turns into a collaboration or whether he takes their ideas and puts it under Jackson Rising. We'll be right back tomorrow on the podcast. Check us at 5:30. We don't know what platform we're going to mess with. Same time, same place, but we'll be on our platform tomorrow, 5:30. For my co-host and myself, Tariq Abdul-Tawwab, we love you, Jackson. Keep thinking. We're out. We stay out. Yeah, so this is for y'all, for those of you all that are just on, this is the end of our week. We stay live, yeah, this is gonna be good. I gotta put this in the front office. They're at the door. This is the end of our week here. Now, usually we go to We Believe Digital on Thursdays and Fridays, and that's what you heard me say when you heard me say we're still back on air. We're still back on air, but we usually go to We Believe Thursdays and Fridays. Now, that's 6:30. Now, I always say in every scenario, I'll open the door. You never know, maybe my phone. Yeah, it's the kid. What's going on, my brother? How you doing, man? Yes, sir. Yeah, now you don't have the kid Stamps walking in. He's the one that told Vernon Hartley to do the rate case, and Mr. Hartley refused to do the rate case, which would have stopped the takeover, by the way, and which would have set us back. But that's a whole nother story, y'all. Ooh, boy, let me tell you something, man. Some people ain't been acting right for a long time, man. We got to go in that. But we out of here. I always give you that 90.1 shot because this is the last day of our Wednesday, but we're going to be back on Socrates tomorrow. So remember, that's We Believe Digital. And that is going to be from 5:30. And this is what we talk about here when we talk about areas. And that's the gas station right up there that we saw the Jackson police actually working as security for the Indian store owners. But, yeah, let me see. We'll be back at you. We've got Thursday, we've got Friday, We Believe Digital. And I think that's it. Thought I saw something happen. Okay, we're out, guys. We love you. We're going.
My mama lied.